Okay, welcome back. In our last video, we ended up designing a horizontal alignment, as you can see here on the screen, on top of a bit of surface. And we were also able to generate a single sheet profile, which is our surface profile, which is this item right here, and a finish grade profile. If I regen, my curves get nicer. We checked our design criteria, and we did know that this tangent, this vertical tangent, was too steep, so we just have to check that and select that profile, edit the profile geometry. I'm sorry, I'm editing the style. Edit profile geometry, and bring up the grid editor, and I'm going to just change that last grade out to be -9%. And that should make our warning symbol go away, and it does. Very good. Close that, and we'll hit save. And our last step was to bring in a single plan and profile title block. And you can see I haven't actually finished it out yet. And the way we did that was to right-click on the tab down here and select it from template. Okay. And I'll put in today's date. And of course, in industry, these things that I'm doing here, the title block, these are oftentimes handled automatically through the sheet set manager, but that's okay. For a course like this, it's probably better to do it the old-fashioned nuts and bolts way. And I did want to kind of update a little bit on this band style here. This is a little funky, the way we have these super long ticks on the top and the bottom. So we'll probably update that a little bit. And the next step when you're doing a road is to begin the assembly. And the assembly then leads to a corridor. And then finally the corridor leads to cross sections. I think I'm actually going to skip right to cross sections, believe it or not, right now, because it's kind of it requires a little bit more style setup to get the cross sections to look nicer. And the assembly and corridor actually is its own whole lesson by itself, I think. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the cross section setup. And so you start up here in the home ribbon. And in order to do a cross-section, and the cross-section will look similar to this profile for those of you who haven't actually worked in the industry before, whereas we have a little grid view, and we see the side view, and that's kind of where it stops. In fact, a cross-section is running down the center line, and your eye will be looking down the center line, in contrast to the profile where your eye is looking at the center line. Okay, so that's the cross section. So in order to do cross sections in Civil 3D, the first thing we need are alignment, we got it, and something to section, and we'll just section this existing grade surface for now. All right, so sample lines are the first thing. And the command line is telling us to select an alignment or press enter key to select from the list. I'll hit the enter key. We only have the one, so we'll go ahead and select it. And in order to have sample lines, you need to have a sample line group. And the group is just the container. And we really don't see a whole lot of visual impact with respect to the sample line group. Even the sample lines themselves have little visual impact, in my opinion, because we generally don't publish those on final prints. And that's why I have only just the standard. And these are often going to be just printed on a non-plotting layer even. So we're going to call this, the sample line group, we'll call this Elm Street. And I'm just going to leave it at standard. The section layer, well, we are going to change that. I'm going to make sure that the section layer is going to be, I'm going to click the pancake layer button here, and I'm going to click the new, and the layers are going to be sections dash, and I'll leave the white and everything else default. I will put it on a non-plotting layer and hit OK. There we go. And the modifier is going to be a suffix of asterisk. All right. Notice how as soon as I did the asterisk, we get the name, which is written up here under the sample line group. We get the name appended to the layer itself. And I put the hyphen in the layer, the base layer name. You can put the hyphen over here, and then you see how every time I hit a hyphen, you get an extra hyphen in the layer name. It's up to you whether you put the hyphen in the base layer or the hyphen in the modifier. I'm not entirely sure which is better. Hit OK. And the section layer is going to be new section, and I'll show you I'll show you the difference here in a minute. And I'll change this color. It doesn't matter. The color is going to be a function of the style, so we can just pick anything in this case and hit OK. And I'm going to let that be a plotting layer, of course. Hit OK there. And the modifier again is suffix, and I'll do the hyphen here, hyphen asterisk. Okay. And let's go ahead and hit OK. Now, notice I have the rubber band hooked up to the alignment, and I can start at station 0, and I'm just moving my mouse down the screen. And I can randomly pick a station right about, I don't know, right about there. And it asks me the left swath of 30 feet. That's fine. I'll default that. And the right swath, 30 feet, fine. And there's our first section right here. Now that could be tedious, and then you could eyeball 400, and you can even use the transparent commands over here to try to find exactly the 400. But there's a much easier way. Over here, under the sample line tool dialog box, we can use by range of stations. And I'll go ahead and turn that on. And we get this secondary box that pops up. And what we're going to do is select true from alignment start, yes. To alignment end true, yes. I can do true or false, so we'll do true. We're going to not snap the left to an alignment. We're just going to use 30. We're not going to snap the right to an alignment. We'll just use 30. And sampling increments, absolute station, yes, 50 feet, very good. Increment along tangents. And this is, you can change this up if you needed additional precision or accuracy, rather. You could change these values here. Or you can have the additional sample line. I'm going to hit false for all these and hit OK. All right, so you saw them all laid down into the drawing. Okay, that is the by range of, and of course we still have our oddball guy right here, station 328 plus or minus, and here's the station 350. Okay, and I'm going to just hit enter to stop the command, and we're done. And what we ended up with was each section line. This is a section line. Gets a section line label. And where is it getting this information from? Well, let's go take a look at the sample line groups. Back off a little bit. Go back to the prospector. And under alignments, we have our center line alignments. And let's spill open Elm Street. Open this up. Open that up a little bit. And finally, we have in our node, sample line groups, there's our Elm Street. That's the one we just made. And if I keep drilling down, I finally get sample line node. And here they are. Those are those names, SL9, SL10. So it's just incrementing sample line dash next number, next number, next number, next number. And here are the sections. And the only thing in the drawing right now to take a sample of is the surface. Okay. So what you can see here is they're naming each section sample line group dash sample line number dash the object. And unfortunately, I never renamed the surface. Well, maybe I did. It is just EG. I'm I wonder why the sections have e.g. 2. Oh, 2, 3, 4. My bad. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, they're just incrementing also. All right, no problem. All right, so we have the data. Now we need to actually view one of these sections. And there's many ways of doing this. Let's take a look at the first way. We'll go to the section views, and we'll create a single section view. And we'll click that. All right. We have seen this wizard before. We've seen this for profile view, and we'll see it for other objects as well. So, and these buttons here are active. I can step through the buttons on the left by clicking, or just use the next. All right, that's why they call it the wizard. Select the alignment, Elm Street, very good. Sample line group, Elm Street, okay. Sample line. Now remember, we are creating a single section view. So now it wants to know which one are we actually going to create. And I actually want to create sample line 1, which is that oddball. Notice how sample line 2 is back here at station 0, 50. And sample line 1 was that oddball guy. Okay. Section view name, we'll leave that default right now. And let's go ahead and choose the 10 scale. And next. And the offset, remember we have negative 30, 30 on the left and 30 on the right. That translates to negative 30 and positive 30 here. Next. Elevation range, in this case, we only need to show 110 to 125. And next. And the section display options. And here we have one of the things that I do like to change is from standard and just select the existing grade. And of course, you can choose a certain style to be the default within the command.
Hello there, Craig.
Siri wanted to talk to me. Choose existing grade. Hit OK. And if I open this up a little bit, you can see we have no labels. And always do no labels for an existing grade cross-section view. And next. All right, the data bands. Just like we had for profiles, we have bands for cross-sections. And I'll choose the EG, FG. And for surface 1, it's just going to be simply EG, and surface 2 will eventually be the finished grade surface. Okay, and let's go ahead and create that section view. I'm going to place it right over here in model space. Looks very, very odd, doesn't it? Well, that's because the section views, remember we chose the 10 scale section view. That means we're going to change the annotation scale to 10. All right, much better, much better. This is let me zoom in on that a little bit. This is a very clean, very simple cross-section view. We have the band showing the existing grade elevation and the finished grade elevation, and the offset. So here's offset 0, that's the center line of the road. That's 10 feet to the right. Here's 10 feet to the left. All right, so we are looking down the road, and it'll look more interesting as soon as we build a design road or a corridor. Okay. Now, the problem, of course, you'll see is now everything else is all screwed up with our annotation scales, because this style was set up as a 50 scale or even 100 scale. When we do cross sections in industry, it's very common to have an entire drawing set up just for the cross sections, and it's okay at that point to lay down the annotative scale to the plotted scale of 1 inch equals 10 in this case. Now it is possible and very often done where you plot the cross sections in the same drawing, but it gets a little hokey in the model view. That's all. Okay, so other ways of plotting cross sections, and then we'll actually get into the band adjustment too. We'll go ahead and go back to section views, and I will create multiple views. And we're going to very similar workflow. Select the alignment, Elm Street, the Elm Street group. We'll use the automatic stationing. Automatic naming, it's fine. And we'll choose the 10 scale again. Very good. Next. Okay, here's something a little different. Section placement. We have two options, production or draft. And when just starting out, draft is the simplest way to do it, and you have to manually situate your sections on the sheet for plotting. And the plan production routine requires us to select a specific template at this point. However, the problem is we don't actually have one for the course. Let me find the NHTI plan production. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back into the personal Dropbox. But NHTI courses. CAD. There. And we do have one, actually. We have one layout in there for 34 inch by 22 inch cross sections, 10 scale. Hit OK. And we'll run it. Let's see what happens. Group plot style, we'll use the NHTI group plot. And click next. Automatic is fine. Automatic is fine. Same thing. No labels for the sections. Style will always be existing grade because we're only doing existing grade right now. Hit next, and we'll add the EGFG and create views. And the command line is asking me to identify the section view origin. I'll put it right here. So, what do we have here happening now? What we have is the green rectangles represent a 34 inch by 22 inch piece of paper. And the yellow rectangle represents the viewport on that template. And it's complex, but not really. What we remember when it asked us to identify the specific template to use for the plan production, we had to choose it, and it knows. In fact, I'll show you what I mean. I'll do a new template from template. We'll go find that exact template. There it is. There it is. So, this is a cross-sections sheet. And it's different than a plan and profile sheet, if I selected this layout, in one very important way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the properties of this viewport. The viewport properties, if you were to scroll all the way down, you'll have two special viewport properties. Viewport type is currently plan. Notice I have plan, profile, or section available. These three settings are what tells the section plot engine or the plan production engine where do these sections or plan or profiles land. Okay, so I'll select these sections and I will select the viewport in the sections tab. Move this out of the way. And lo and behold, it is definitely a section type. Okay, so I'm going to close that properties. And because we are not running it in plan production, but we did use the template, and I'll also notice that we're already at the 10 scale. I'm going to unlock the viewport. I'm going to zoom out. Do I find my sections? And I can see them right there. Those green and yellow boxes are telltale. And when we're doing this in the plan production or the automated manual, the automated approach, it is, well, automated. So I'll set this up to 1 inch equals 10 scale manually. And I'm going to pan the viewport. Remember that yellow box that that's inside the of model space? See how that it's exactly precisely the same size as the viewport in my paper space. And one of the ways to align that is to go to where is it? Express Tools, and you can align space. First line place in model is that end. Second point in model is that one. First one is right here, and the second one is right here. Select, enter, lock. Okay, so what I just did is I precisely double digitized the yellow viewport in model with the yellow viewport in paper space. And that's really what happens with the Plan Production Tools engine. Is you actually run the command and it generates the sheets, it names the sheets, and it adds them to a sheet set manager. I will show that in the plan production lesson. That is not this lesson. This is manual cross sections. So what we have is we have station 0 plus 50, station 1 plus 50, station 100, station 150, station 200. So what it's doing is it's going from the bottom up and left to right, left to right, left to right. Okay. Go back to model space and see there's 50 and there's 100 again. And I think you're going to run into, there it is. There's your oddball, station 3 plus 28.17. Okay. You can have all kinds of fun with these section sample lines by adjusting the properties of the sample line groups. Okay. You can edit them. You can delete them. Add more here. Where are we? Yeah. So here we have the section view list. This guy appears in both section view lists. All right, and we're going to hit OK. Sample lines. Delete that from there. Yes. And look at that. It just reshuffled the deck. And let's go ahead and reprocess the section view group, update section layout, and it shuffles the deck and everything fits in perfectly again. All right, so remember that. Section view group, update the section view layout if you have changes to your sections being plotted. All right, I'm going to hit save on this. And what I'm going to do is let's get into how do we edit the band style of the cross sections. Very similar to the way we were doing it with the profile. I'm going to go to the settings tab. I'm going to go to section view, band styles, section data. And here we have the EGFG. That's the one that's in use. We can see that because it has the yellow triangle. Click, edit that band style, band details. I mean, it's almost identical to the profile band style. And in fact, my personal opinion is I like to set my cross sections up and my profile up to be similar in visual style. I actually like, in this case, I like the cross section one better than I do the profile one. Because I like the size of the ticks. I like the fact that the band is not offset from the grid. And it's got a 0.1 tick size on the top, no tick on the bottom. So if I turn that on and hit apply, you'll see these major ticks showing up in the bottom. I don't know. Personal preference. Do you need to have the band bottom line? I don't think so. So band borders off. Band title box. Text, centerline, title box. I'm not sure what that is then. Oh, that must be the. Oh, I know what that is. It is. It's a viewport. Yep. So that means what? That means these offset lines will not be in the viewport. Ah, bad. So how do you fix that? Well, you need to do. One of the things you can do is you can adjust the group plot style layout. Let's try that. So let's close up band styles just for a minute. We'll go to group plot style. We'll choose the NHGI group plot, and we'll edit that. And arrays by row. Remember, it said we started the lower left, and we walked away left to right, and then up in stations. Okay. Space between adjacent section views, rows, columns, row. We'll try 1.2. Hit apply. Hit OK. For Prospector, update the layout. Unhelpful. Oh, it must have spread them out widthwise. Yeah, see how they're hopping up. The problem is that they're still not plotted. They're not moving the lower left one. Yeah, that's not it either. I'll find it eventually. One way to make it happen would be to change the band. Why don't we try that instead? Go back to the band styles, band section data, EGFG, edit it, and let's go. What we're trying to do is I want to hop the offset from the bottom to the top. So at the major increments, that's every 10 feet in this case. And move this down over here. Yeah. There we go. Compose a label, and I have EG elevation, the offset itself, the finish grid elevation, and the line. Let's go to the offset, and let's change it to the band top. And hit apply, hit OK, and hit apply. All right, so it did hop it up, but we still need to drop it down a little bit to get it out of that tick. How about that? There we go. That's not terrible. Maybe up a little more. But you see, you do this once, and you set up your template, and you have to do it the way you like, because that's the point. All right. I'll drop it just a tiny bit more. There we go. Yeah. Hit OK there. And just before we do anything, let's update the layout just to see what happens. No change. Very good. So if I go back to my plotted sheets, I get my offsets, my existing grade, finish grade, and everything is happy. I get a station label. Okay. So that gives you an idea of how do you adjust the band styles for your cross sections. And why don't we take a look at the plan and profile and get this thing similar, the setup the same way. So in this case, let's go back to the settings, tab, and I'm working in Paperspace now, but I'm still in a viewport. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to go back to Profile, View, Band Styles, Profile Data, EGFG, Edit, Band Details. And again, let's, dealing with the majors, that's station 100, station 200, station 300. We'll go and we'll turn off the bottom tick, and we'll change the tick size to 0.10. And for minor station, I don't want any ticks. I don't even want any elevations being shown, so I'll shut that off. Minor ticks, just visually turn them off. Labels at minor, turn those off. Hit apply. Okay. Getting closer. And the band, offset from band, let's go change that to 0. Oh, yeah. Band height 1 inch, text box width. Yeah. Oh, that was just the text title text. Yep. Yep. Okay. Hit OK there. Let's edit the profile view style. Okay. Grid, we'll leave those okay for now. Axis offset, I don't like those offsets. Okay, that gives you this little margin in here. I don't get that. So hit apply there, changes that. And let's turn off the ticks for bottom axis minor. Okay. All right. And bottom axis ticks major, we don't even need those on because those are going to come in with the band. Okay. And okay there. Profile view properties, bands, and there's a gap of a half inch. So set that to 0. See how that goes. Okay, getting a little crowded, but closer. So that gap is gone. It jumps the ticks up to the top of the profile view, and that's not terrible. Okay, it's not terrible. Whether you like your station on the top or bottom, that's kind of up to you. Offset on the top or the bottom, again, same. It's up to you. I just try to keep things as clean as possible. Do we need these ticks on the left side? I don't know. If I double click into it, pick it again. Probably you need an offset on that. So we'll go to the vertical axes this time. And the tick size is 0.25. It's ticks to the left. Let's go to the right on that. Hit apply. Try the left. How about? There we go. So that's a 1/4 inch. That's way too big, if you ask me. So let's set that to 1/10. Justify to the left. And see how the text jumped with it. So let's go to the tick labeled text. And that's good, but we want it to be hooked up to an offset of x minus 0.10. Yes. And while we're here, let's turn off the left axis ticks minor. Yes. Hit OK. Very nice and clean. Very clean. And let's go deal with the right one. Well, let's go to unlock this just momentarily. And we'll slide it over. And lock it again. Notice the viewport scale of 1 inch equals 100 feet is different than the model space scale of 1 inch equals 10. If I jumped over to the profile here, it looks just odd. It looks very odd. The text are too this is intended for a 10 scale plotting. All right, but if I go back to the plan profile, that viewport is set to 100 feet. So that's why I say it is doable to do your cross sections and your profile in the same drawing, because the viewport annotation scale is going to take over anyways for you. But let's get in here and finish editing that profile style, edit profile view style from the right click menu, and we'll go to the vertical axes. Actually, go to grid first. Make sure that there's no offsets. There are not. Very good. Vertical axes. Changed it to right. Okay, see these toggle buttons? You need to change it. Okay. So, this will be very frustrating. This will be very frustrating because you can make all kinds of changes and swear up and down that you're making the changes and you're not seeing them happen because you're not actually changing the correct side of the grid. Okay, so I'm in the right side now. Still at 10-foot intervals. Tick size, I'm going to go back to a 1/10 of an inch here. And I'm going to actually justify right this time. Hit apply. Yep, good. And turn off the minor right axis ticks minor. Very good. Turn those off. All right, and vertical, horizontal axes. We turn that label star. We'll turn that on. Hit apply. Hit OK. See how we have this overriding 27.013? That's because it's kind of I don't know. It's not supposed to be doing that because the tick is not turned on. But now I'm getting 1 at station 0. Okay, so that was necessary. Let's go see if we can find the setting to turn off that last one. And before I do, I'm going to lock it at 100 scale. Okay, and one surefire way of doing this is. And the reason why it's plotting is because the alignment was run to station 27.013. Okay, it's real. It's really that long. So what can you do? The thing that I actually recommend doing is profile view properties and changing the stations being plotted from station 0 to the end, but user 0 to 2750. Okay, hit OK. And that hops it out there. And so you get a little tail there, but that's real. It's real data. It's really that long. And sort of you get this kind of a offset. I don't know, half dozen, 6 ways of other ways of doing that. If you edit the style here again, you go to the top, bottom, vertical, turn that on, and apply, there's that. There's just no way of turning off that last station, that last oddball station in these style. Okay, there is one thing above to the right. You could do this as a grid pad, 1 inch, plotted, hit apply, hit OK. Yeah, it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Go back to automatic, how about? There's your pad happening there. So what it did is it plotted exactly 1 inch beyond the last bit of data, which is 28, and then it padded again to 2900. So that's kind of what's happening with the padding. And if I edit the style again, I've turned on clip in padding. I'll turn that off. Oh. I wonder if I didn't save omit grid. Yeah. There we go. Clip horizontal. Hit OK. So what it's doing is just extending the grid lines out in the pad. It's visual. Most companies won't like that. It gives you an idea of how to make it look that way. Okay, I'm going to hit save the drawing. So at this point, what we've done real quickly is, I'm going to go back to 100 scale here, just from a recap. We've got the profile. We've finalized a band that is not so loud and obnoxious. Maybe a case could be made to get those station labels down below the elevations. A case could be made. You could argue a point. I'd listen either way. We've talked about earlier on. We talked about the my previous video. These warning signs. Okay. Those are the vertical alignment criteria warnings. Okay, design checks. Put that back. Design. Oh no, not design criteria. Design geometry. Put that back to exactly 9%. Oh. We've talked about cross sections. Notice how when I switched to 100 scale, the group plot style items changed wildly. And here's what happens. This is what could get wild. If I right click and I update the section view layout now that I'm at 100 scale, the plotted sections now changed to now 2 sheets instead of 10, but the cross sections are still hard-coded, hardwired to be 10 scale sections. And so really it really should be the plotted style is the annotative style, okay, for sections. And that's why I really do recommend, and I'll show you later on, how do we do this in its own drawing. Okay, the sections really should be in their own drawing. All right, I'm going to hit, go back to 100 scale. We'll just walk away from those sections for a minute. And hit save. All right, so at this point, what your template needs to have is a decent profile style, and your templates, your seed templates that come in the course are not finished. You have to get in there and you have to mess around inside of the band styles. You have to mess around with the style of the profile view itself, like this. And I don't like those grids out in the padding area. And I don't really like the padding, but this looks nicer, okay? You'll need to know how to bring in the cross-section sheets and plot them on, and equally know how to get in and manipulate these bands for cross-sections, okay? You can reset that. Right there. All right. So at this point, the assignment is going to be simple. Provide a plan that shows the same alignment that we've been working on in class and in homework. I need to see a final profile view, one single sheet of profile, and I'd like to see one single sheet of cross sections. And next week we'll get into the quarter design and the finished grade design. Okay, that should give you plenty to do, and I will see you next week in class. Have a great day.